Hi, I'm Cami, and I am a survivor of postpartum anxiety. First, I want to start by saying that since I was 18, I have been diagnosed with depression, but I had never experienced anxiety until after I had my daughter, who is now 6. So it's been a while, but this story is still fresh in my mind. So it took us, my husband and I, 6 years to get pregnant. So I just want to say that because just imagine the excitement I had once we found out that I actually was pregnant. I had the best pregnancy. I don't think I even took my depression medication the whole time. I was just so happy. I wasn't sick. I was just like, finally, I'm having my baby. And then to find out it was a girl, it was just even more exciting for me because I'm a girly girl and I just wanted everything pink. The delivery went great. I did have some tearing and some pain and stuff like that, but I didn't have anything scary other than pain. But I think it was that night. So she was born about 5 o'clock in the evening, and that night I could not go to sleep. I don't know what it was. I was just like, had adrenaline. I was extremely tired, but every time I would close my eyes, I would kind of have a pop-in thought of, not really a thought, more of like a picture of picking up my brand new baby and throwing her against the wall. And I was like, what? It must just be because I'm extra tired. I have these hormones. I didn't know what to do. So I called the nurse in and I couldn't even talk. I was like just talking gibberish, and she's like, I think I need to give you some sleeping pills. You need to go to sleep. You've been through a lot. You have all this, stuff down there that got torn apart. You've been through a lot today. Let's get you to sleep. So I got to sleep. I woke up the next day. I had this vision of how I always thought it would be in the hospital after having my baby. I would have all my friends and family come, meet the baby, say hi to me, bring me flowers, bring presents for the baby. And I didn't want anyone to come. I had a specific outfit I wanted to wear when I was leaving the hospital. I didn't want to wear it. I would only allow my mom to come, my mom and my husband. And luckily my husband had time off work and my mom was able to get some time off work. So people were around me all the time, helping take care of the baby. But then I started getting kind of nervous when they would leave me in the room alone with her, because I would keep having those visions in my head of picking her up and throwing her. And obviously that's an uneasy feeling with your brand new baby. I waited 6 years for it. Why am I having these feelings? What's going on? Do I not love her? Within a week, maybe 2 weeks, I still wasn't feeling good. And I knew it wasn't just depression because I'd had depression. I was just I didn't want to eat everything, which is very weird for me. I like to eat. But, so I called my doctor who delivered my baby and I said, this is what's happening. I'm not feeling right. And so he gave me a medication to kind of help with depression, but that didn't help. And so then a few days later, my mom said, you need to call somebody else. You need to figure this out. It's not doing well, because Clint, or my husband, was going back to work, and my mom had to go back to work, and I refused to be alone with the baby. I didn't trust myself. I was worried I was going to harm her in some way. My husband has a gun, an unloaded gun, but he has a gun in the top of the closet. And I had gone to sleep one night and I was like, what would happen? And this is just a pop-in thought. It's not like I was thinking about this. It just kind of came in to my mind. What would happen if I just got the gun and I killed all 3 of us? And obviously that's a horrible, horrible feeling. And so that's when my mom advised me to call the helpline. So when I told them that, they advised me to go to the emergency room. We were there for quite some time, and I didn't know at the time, but now I know that I was having a panic attack. I couldn't calm down. I just felt jittery and scared. And I was nervous. I was like, I don't want to go to the psych ward. I want to be with my husband. And so there was a mix-up of communication with that, because I said, can my husband come with me? Can he stay there? And she said yes. And so I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and do it. So I signed all the papers. And then they started wheeling me away, and my husband was following me, and they had a policeman and a doctor, and they told my husband, no, you can't come. You need to go the other way. So this was really hard for my husband. They were wheeling me one way, and he was just standing at the end of the hall, just watching his wife be wheeled away. I was terrified. So I got to the psych ward. They took my favorite jacket because it had a drawstring, and they ruined it. So I threw it away after that. I luckily stayed in the room by myself the first night because it wasn't crowded. And they wanted me to come out into a group therapy, and I just wanted my husband and my baby. Even though I was terrified of hurting my baby, of course I wanted to be around her. So I refused to go to the group therapy. They wanted me to eat a certain amount. I didn't want to eat. I was still recovering with all my ripping and tearing down there, so I had to they don't have closed doors on the bathroom, so I had to take care of myself in there. So every day I was there, I think just 2 nights, but every day they wanted me to come out to group therapy, and no judgment, but it was like a druggie who was trying to kill himself, or a teenage girl who tried to cut herself, or there was no one else in my situation. So I refused. I didn't do group therapy. But luckily they did have a psychiatrist come, and I went and talked to him, and I told him why they admitted me. And he said, well, did those thoughts about the gun and killing all of you, did that scare you and make you uneasy, or did that kind of make you calm and make you feel like that would make things better? I said, oh, they terrified me. I don't want that to happen. And he said, well, they shouldn't have admitted you because they were scaring you. They didn't make you feel comfort. I was like, oh, well, they admitted me. I'm here. So at that point, I decided to stay one more night just to kind of get some rest and kind of think up about everything that was happening. And luckily my mom and my husband were able to stay home with my daughter, and this part made me happy. But my mom, she was only 3 weeks old at the time, but my mom said, your mommy's coming home today. And that was her first smile, and my mom caught it on camera. So there's a picture of her smiling. But so because of the fact that I went to the psych ward, I was able to get into a psychologist that usually doesn't take new patients, but because of being admitted, he was able to take me. I started going to the psychologist once a week, and I wouldn't do my hair or makeup. I would kind of just sit in the chair and just be like on edge, because I'd be having panic attacks. And he came to the conclusion that I had postpartum anxiety and OCD and what he calls it, an overactive orbital cortex. And so he said these, and I've got to say, I felt alone when I had those thoughts. I felt like I'm crazy. Why is this happening? Why would I ever want to hurt my baby? Why am I imagining throwing her against the wall, or all these things? And he literally had a book on his bookshelf, opened it up, and there were pages of all these, what I call now, because he told me, pop-in thoughts. there's people all over the world that have these pop-in thoughts. And the reason mine were so intense is because, first of all, I wasn't on the right medication. And second of all, I didn't know that it was normal to have them. And so I couldn't trust myself. But what he taught me is your thoughts aren't actions. And your brain cycles through so many thoughts a day that more than likely multiple people have these same thoughts. Just the fact that I have my overactive orbital cortex is why I take them seriously and why I get scared that things are going to happen. But so 6 years later, I'm doing worlds better. I still see him probably once every 4 or 5 months just to kind of keep it on the right path. I'm on the right medication. He could tell that he tells me all the time, he's like, you're doing so much better than you were. I remember you would come in, you wouldn't brush your hair, you wouldn't do your hair, you wouldn't do your makeup. I could tell you're doing worlds better. So even on the days that I feel horrible, he's like, even on those days, you're better than you were. So even though in those moments I felt so scared and so alone, it does take time, but you will get out of it. And just don't give up hope and don't feel alone, even though it's a very, very lonely disease. You just feel hopeless. There's help out there, and I guarantee you know someone who's gone through the same thing, and maybe they're too ashamed to admit it, but they've gone through it. So